the realization is that I am extremely judgmental, and it's something that really bothers me. I am very judgmental towards other people, but it's because I'm so judgmental towards myself. Everything that's going inside manifests itself on the outside as well. I feel like I am in my own way when I get to this place of criticizing myself based on that. And that's something that dawned on me when... Okay, I've been listening to some podcasts that are solos, and you can tell that they don't have a video component because the way people speak in them is so much more chilled. And that's what I'm trying to emulate moving forward with my podcast. Like, you see me on YouTube, but I'm going to pretend you don't see me. So I wanted to sit down and just do a little dive into what's been on my mind, because I have to be honest, there's been quite a few developments in just the way I've been feeling about myself and about the world. And, I'm at this point known to be the over-analyzer and the over-intellectualizer. But I feel like that's what is fun for me. So let me tell you a little story of something that sent me down the rabbit hole in my thinking. Last week, there was a lovely girl that came to my house to do a podcast, which, by the way, I love having people in my house. I don't know if you noticed, we changed the setting. We're no longer in our condo, in our studio, and I moved everything inside the house. And it's been really nice to just have people over and it's a different kind of connection when they come into your space. So that's been really nice. Okay, back on track. So this sweet girl came, we sat down, had a great conversation, and then she's asked me a question. It was kind of like fireside question. And one of the question was, we were talking about content creation, about family, all the things, about kind of my entrepreneurial journey. And she asked, how much did you make this year? And my response was, I have a finance team for that. I don't know. And it was interesting because it kind of came out like automatically out of me. And after we finished the conversation, I was just kind of sitting with it, thinking to myself, that's so interesting. First of all, I would have never answered that question either way, because I just think it's a very American thing to do. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just like a very North American thing to do, to ask such a question. But what actually caught me off guard is the way I responded. And I was kind of sitting with it for a few days now, thinking about, why did I respond in the way that I responded? Why didn't I say something, along the lines of my belief, where it's like, I know how much I made, but I don't really speak on those things, like that could have been an answer. But instead of kind of dumbed it down a little bit, a Paris Hilton trick, I guess. And that's kind of, I guess, what my thought process was. I was thinking to myself, I wouldn't answer that question, but I don't need to prove to anybody that I am this girl boss. And I think that's what kind of triggered me to respond the way I responded, because if you would asked me that question before, I would have dived into the way my company operates and like the financial kind of structure of it, to, I guess, prove to other people that I'm smart. But with this one, I was kind of like, I have a finance team for that. Like, I'm just a talent. And I made it kind of more humorous. So I was sitting with it, trying to figure out for myself, did I answer that way because I haven't gotten fully into, the self that is like confident and can carry herself in such a way and speak like that? Or did it come from a place of like, let's play it off, and it's not that serious and I don't care what people kind of think of me. At first, I was a little bit angry at myself. Again, rewinding that conversation, thinking like I could have answered in a more like intelligent way. And then I was sitting with my friend and I was sharing this story with her, and she said something that was very interesting that I didn't think about. She said, of course you answer that way because you are right now in kind of your softening phase, you're really leaning into the feminine and you don't want to talk about these things. And not to say that, women don't talk about money. We sure do. And I'm very well aware of, our financials and all the things. But yeah, I don't really want to talk about it, because when I start thinking about it and talking about it, it takes me to my masculine, which again, at that point, didn't feel like the place I wanted to go into in that conversation on the podcast. So I thought that was a very interesting point of view. And as I sat there and I was thinking to myself, did it come from a place of insecurity? Did it come from a place of, there was kind of a different strategy that I had? I've realized that, first of all, I'm overthinking all of this. That's the first thing I thought about. But then the second thing was, it feels I'm connecting more to this idea where I answered the way I answered because of the way I wanted to feel, and I wanted to kind of stay soft and not go into this girl boss era, or like this, demeanor. And that's okay too. And in general, I find that I'm kind of moving away from it, this portrayal of empowerment, if that makes sense. For me, like I'm not operating in a way that I feel a powerful woman needs to operate. I'm just operating as me. Where before I was operating that way because, of this whole like, you gotta show up and be this boss babe and all that stuff. Oh, I just said that. Anyways, I was really sitting with it and diving into it and analyzing myself because, as you know, with my whole existence, like I find that this journey of life is one big classroom, and everything that comes out of my mouth and every thought I'm thinking, every actions I'm taking, I always kind of rewind later on and think about it. Like, why did I say what I said? Why did I act the way I acted? And it's not always to find faults within myself, but just to find gaps or even to learn more about myself. Because that's the kind of journey that I enjoy, right? And I just really loved that my conclusion was that I really just felt and said whatever felt right to me at the moment. Which brings me to this new kind of phase that I'm in right now, this new recent realization that I've had, which I actually always knew about myself, but it became like highlighted in the past couple of months. So the realization has been that, the realization is that I am extremely judgmental. And it's something that really bothers me. I am very judgmental towards other people, but it's because I'm so judgmental towards myself, right? Because everything that's going inside manifests itself on the outside as well. So, that's something that's been really on my mind lately. And I've been thinking about ways to change that behavior and those patterns in me because it feels like it doesn't serve me anymore. I feel like I am in my own way when I get to this place of judging myself and criticizing myself based on that. And that's something that dawned on me when I sat at my first Kabbalah class. I signed up to a whole thing of Kabbalah class, Kabbalah 1, which I actually done before with Gary, but didn't finish the course. Something in me kind of pushed me to go for it again and just kind of sit there and really listen to hear a different perspective. Because a lot of the times I really am so much in my own head. And to have something in person, a space that you can go to in person and kind of, listen and absorb and take whatever it is that you need to take is something that was missing from me. Obviously, a lot of information is online, but at this point, it just feel like mumbling to me. Like there's just so much of it and I feel disconnected from it. So I really needed kind of a physical space and a physical environment that I can be in to really go through and like understand the lessons that I need to learn. So, and in that first class, when I was sitting down and, the professor, like how would you call them? The Kabbalah teacher was talking about our what are we trying to get through? Like, what's our tikkun, you know? And tikkun in Hebrew is correction. What are we trying to correct here? And for me, my tikkun right now, because you can have many tikkuns in your life, my tikkun right now, which just kind of came up for me right away, was the judgment aspect. And that's something that I know that was born in me as a tool of survival, but I am no longer in that frame of mind or in that kind of lifestyle. So I need to drop the tools that are not working anymore. So so I feel like it's been really leaning into that, and this time of sorry, there are people that are talking in the background and I can't hear shit. All of these thoughts and all of these yearnings been happening recently, because I feel like I was on a roll. I was on a roll right before, I would say, like October, November, December. I was like going hard. You know, when you feel like you're riding a wave. Motivation is there. You're clear about what it is that you want and need to do. And I truly been enjoying the fruits of my labor. And the labor was done before that to make sure that that wave lasts long. But when we got to our vacation in Costa Rica, there was some kind of a crash. And it wasn't even a crash. It was more kind of like, it became very shallow. The wave was not lifting me up. I was kind of on the surfboard, and I'm using this analogy to really, explain how it feels for me right now, these days, where the wave is kind of finished and I'm just standing on the board and there's nothing going on. And I feel kind of uninspired, and I'm missing that clarity, and I'm now looking around thinking about, okay, how can I create another wave to take me forward? So anytime I'm in that kind of state of mind, understanding that I need to take action for things to change, I go within and I start looking around, realizing what it is that I need to fix or pay attention to, so I'm able to project and take action on the outside. So that's kind of where all of that has started. And for me, the actions that I've been taking was, first of all, to really sit with myself and kind of bring awareness to these feelings that I have. I'm not trying to shut them down. I'm not trying to just kind of fake it till I make it. I'm trying to be very intentional about it. Then, like I mentioned, I really wanted to throw myself in physical spaces that, are you fucking kidding me? Remember that time I told you how amazing it is to shoot from home? In between these moments, it's so good. Okay, guys, let's take a little break to kind of take a minute to complain how I don't have enough meals and time a day to keep up with my protein intake. Okay, I know this is a universal problem and we're all feeling it, but I obviously started supplementing with a protein powder. Something that I've learned though in the process is that not all powders are made equal. So there's the Clean Label Project that did a study and it reviewed over 160 top-selling protein powders, and they found that 47% of them exceeded safety limits for lead, and 21% contained double the acceptable amount. Like, we don't have enough things to worry about. But that's why I'm so relieved to share that I found Puri and their PW1 whey protein powder. What I love is the fact that the whole brand is built around the idea of testing and transparency, and each batch is third-party tested by the Clean Label Project against more than 200 harmful contaminants. I said it right. I said contaminants right. This is a big deal for me, okay? So that includes lead and cadmium. So for every one of their products, you can scan a QR code on the product and you see the exact batch third-party test result, which is incredible standard that is almost impossible to find elsewhere in the industry. Hopefully, though, it will become the norm. But until then, we're going to Puri, okay? My personal favorite is the dark chocolate flavor. It is perfect in a smoothie or in a shake or whatever way you use protein powders. You can get creative with them, as you know. So do what I did, add Puri PW1 to your routine now. I have a super exciting deal for you. If you want to take advantage right now, you get 20% off, or if you choose to their already discounted subscription, you get almost a third off the price. Visit my exclusive URL puri.com/Valeria and use my promo code Valeria. That's PURI.com/Valeria. That discount is only available when you visit my exclusive URL and use my promo code, so don't wait. Let's try to get it in before this nice man comes back to clean the front yard. So the action that I've been taking is getting myself into physical spaces that can kind of provide me new insights and new perspective on the world, and also really getting into hobbies, like moving away from the things that I do usually, and putting myself in a completely new kind of information space. So the first one was Kabbalah, and I'm actually going to the third session today, and it's been really nice just sitting and listening. I'm not one of those like extremely participating types yet. Maybe I will eventually at some point, but I'm just sitting and observing, which I love, and then observing, but then absorbing what I feel is useful for me. I have a little notepad, I have a little pen, and I truly love being in that kind of student mindset when I'm in new environments. So I'm excited about that. I'll keep you posted on how it's going. I'm making a lot of notes so I can sit down and kind of share with you what I took from all of it and how it benefited me. And then I also picked up paddle, which is a version of tennis, pickleball. I don't know. To be honest, I don't really understand. I think it's something with the way the courts are. Tennis is tennis, but like paddle and pickleball is, I'm not quite sure. But I really wanted to put myself in a physical kind of student mindset, right? Where it's less thinking and more kind of moving and doing. So I've been doing that. It was definitely easier because I picked it up in December. It was definitely easier to do when the kids were off school and I had kind of time to do it. The whole company was off, but now it's a bit harder, but I'm still hopeful that I can get at least 1 to 2 sessions a week. And what I loved about that is really learning to connect my kind of hand-eye mind coordination happening. It's kind of mind-blowing to me to think how fast our bodies react. Currently my body doesn't react as fast to the signals my brain is giving it, but we will get there. But it's kind of mind-blowing to me to see how it works. Like I caught myself standing on the court doing kind of the beginner's class, and I'm just like, oh my, I hit the ball and I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe I moved so fast. Like, how did I see this coming? And when you actually get to stop for a second and realize what our bodies do, what our brain does, is absolutely extraordinary. So I'm very much like, all these new hobbies that I picked up gives me the opportunity to kind of have a newfound respect to just the human existence as a whole. So that's where that's benefiting me. And obviously it's amazing to move. It helps to release kind of tension, because there was a point that, especially when we came back in January, there was a point where I just felt like I have so much pent up stress and like energy that I can't figure out how to release, that working out has really been kind of a source of, letting it out, and it's been amazing. So that's on paddle. There's also really cute outfits, so I'm all for that. I bought 2 sets. I told myself I can only buy 2 sets and I have to wear them over and over and over again, and that's my commitment to show up to paddle. And then when I get more serious and get into tournaments and stuff, then I can, expand my paddle collection. So, it's fun. And then the last thing that I signed up but haven't gone to yet is it's called like dancing on heels, in heels, something like that, but it's basically a dance class in heels. It's much more, again, like a somatic experience, right? It's really like the body and learning how to move it. And I just kind of thought, if I can bring myself to learn how to move my body instinctually, in like this really beautiful, sensual way, it will also give me something that I can't put a finger on it yet, what it will give me, but it will give me something. It's just my body's just telling me to go and do it. So I'm excited for that. I haven't started yet. And those are the kind of three things that I started to exposing myself to get kind of that wave to start building up so I can write it, and feel that inspiration and feel that like empowerment. It's also been really interesting for me as a content creator, where this is my business and this is what I do for a living. I've been yearning privacy like a lot, maybe because I am in this time right now of redefining and kind of learning and evolving into the next version of myself. I've been really wanting to do it quietly, and it's definitely a push and pull between that feeling and then the responsibility and obligation that I have to show up to my community and honestly show up for the people that work at Valeria Inc., because that's our business. So it's been a little bit of a challenge balancing that. And I've been kind of feeling that I'm not doing the best that I can. And again, the judgment shows up, right? And I'm like, what am I, I know I can do better. Why am I being lazy? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? And so it all kind of comes together really beautifully to teach the lessons. But I've been learning to step back and to keep a lot of things to myself. And at the right time, I will share them if I feel like there is value to people to share them. But right now, it's like I'm taking the time to craft and build my own inner world. And I really don't want to share it with anybody else and to get anybody else's opinions, which have been a wonderful turn of events for me. I've realized at some point, very much recently, that I don't want to hear other people's opinions. I want to make a decision and I trust that decision. And that's huge for me because I was always the kind of person, like part of my indecisiveness was because of me thinking that other people will know better. And I'm kind of really at the beginning. I just opened the door to this like knowing and feeling of the best decision is the decision that I'm going to make, that comes from me and not from anybody else. And I think that it's that overload of information, being online kind of brought me to just feeling like everyone else's opinions and point of views are in my brain, and where is mine? Like I don't even know what's mine and what's not anymore. So this is me really kind of stepping into my guarding of my space, my brain, my mental capacity, and the ability to navigate my life based on what I want, not what I picked up from other people's opinions and stories online. So, been really stepping back and creating that space and fighting with my perfectionist self of not creating and providing kind of the content that my audience is used to. But I know that so much of my community are women just like me that are going through the same or similar experiences, and I think that's important to know for all of us to recognize when it's time to step back and to really kind of operate in a vacuum for a little bit, for a while, until it's time, until you feel that it's time to step out and, broadcast it to the world, to your friends, to your loved ones. So I'm right now kind of building quietly and navigating that, and working on those judgmental feelings that I have towards myself. Another very interesting thing that's been happening lately is I feel like I'm on this brink of new parenting era. So as you guys know, Jake and Ben, who are now 11 and 10, 6th and 5th grade, they've been changing so much. And, to be quite honest with you, I was a little naive thinking that this era of them being independent and doing things for themselves and kind of, school is not that serious yet and they're on top of it. I thought it's going to last for a long time. And, not having the concerns of like kind of teenage years. I thought it's going to last longer, and I got comfortable. And as soon as that's a rule, by the way, as soon as you get comfortable in parenting, things switch up real fast. And that's kind of something that hit me also this month. Like January has been rough because all these things are hitting me. Like it was a rough landing coming back from Costa Rica. But it hit me that they now require a whole other type of parents than they had before the new year. And maybe they needed it before the new year as well, but I was just like in my own little, honeymoon phase with them. And what I've realized is that I now need to kind of tilt the balance and really over-index on them and being on top of them in terms of school, in terms of their executive functioning, in terms of their organization skills, like things that I know that they will need and need right now. It's no longer this la-di-da approach and more of bringing as much structure and discipline, as both of us working parents as we can, and we're going to do our best. But that's what they require now. And that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's been kind of a rude awakening for me. Maxie's still, and like he's just still, a young kid. So it's so much easier. But it's been a rude awakening for me to be like, So I had to say no for to some travel, work travel that I had, and just really remembering to focus on what is in front of me right now, which is building this new version of the mother that I need to be and seeing what they need right now. So, yeah. And all of that without having a therapist, guys. Which brings me to my next point of the kind of fire I feel inside of me to attract lightness into my life. I think that right now I'm on this kind of, a lot of adulting is happening, a lot of, again, self-work that obviously always happens, but it feels a bit heavier, a bit more on my desk, this time between the attending to myself and my needs to figuring out how this new kind of mother that I need to be for my kids, and in between all of that and all the other stuff and responsibilities as an adult, I realized that I need to make space for lightness in my life, because as an adult, it can get really heavy and really dark real fast. And, even with my podcast, I've kind of been wanting to just have lighter episodes and maybe have guests where we're not diving into their life journeys and the challenges and all the things they went through. Maybe it's someone that we can just like have this nice flow of a conversation that is not about like the super important things, it's lightness of being. Like I need to invite that into my life. So actually I shot an episode with my girlfriend Vita, and I didn't really inform her about this decision where I want to experiment with a lighter episode. So she came full on like serious face, like ready to, give her life lessons. And I just kind of started shooting the shit. And she's like, what are we even talking about? I'm like, I don't know, but that's the point. I want more of this. I don't want this to have a purpose, because everything has so much purpose already. Let's just literally small talk. Let's superficial communication. Let's bring it in, because I personally been feeling, and maybe that's just me, but I've been feeling like we've been doing so much deep talking and deep feeling and deep everything, that I just like, talk to me about the weather, you know? Talk to me about that you're having a really hard time deciding between what color of a sweater to wear. I'm here for this. I'm inviting it. So this is just, balancing all these things that I'm right now dealing with that. Also, making sure that I'm putting the energy out there of like attracting the lightness in to balance it all out. Because balance is not something you build, it's something you, what? I had such a profound, you see, that was a quote, but it's not even my quote. So I don't even know how it goes. You see, so I'm not even going to say it. There you go. I've been too much on social media lately that the thought didn't form in my head. So that's just an overall of what's been going on for me personally. And I'm very excited to update you about all the things that will come out of this really confusing and uncomfortable, but also I know will be a very rewarding period in my life. So until then, thank you so much for sitting here and listening to basically a download of everything I'm up to. It felt like a Dear Diary moment, and I appreciate you for being here and listening. I will see you next time. Hopefully I'll be riding that wave by then, but if not, we're just gonna do this all over again. Love you. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't miss my newest episode right here. And if you're listening to the podcast on Apple or Spotify, please go and leave a review with your biggest takeaway. I love reading your thoughts. And if you have any suggestions for guests or topics, you can leave them in the comment section. And always, always remember, you are not alone.